Hey, thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time. I've just been spending the day with an amazing group of volunteers here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's pretty evident that God's doing something really special here. In fact, I've noticed in the last few years, God's doing something astonishing in the whole realm of public evangelism. And I mean that for all over the world, but I really especially mean it for North America. Many people have said North America is the hardest place to do evangelism, but I've been watching something take place just in recent years. In fact, things have started to turn a corner, and I've seen such an overwhelming response to public evangelism in North America, it defies the imagination. I remember a time when every new teaching that you presented to the public, you'd have to spend days on people asking questions and objections. Those objections and questions are gone. People are that thirsty. They hear the truth, they grasp it, they run with it, and then the most amazing thing, I've actually watched people get out of their seats as we're presenting Bible truth and walk down to the front without an altar call. I mean, long before we get to the end of the meeting, they're just getting up out of their seats and making a decision and walking to the front. There's that much compulsion. There is that much impulse to do something about Jesus and about the truth. There's something else I've noticed, is that God seems to lay His hand on different cities at different moments. And I've watched this in different places. Astonishing things take place in Portland, Oregon, in Indianapolis, in Los Angeles, and now I'm watching Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it's happening here. I'm telling you, it's happening here. In fact, we just put a card in the mail inviting people to take Bible studies and to study Bible prophecy. And as I'm sitting down to record this right now, we've had 1 day of responses, 1 day. And in the first day that we opened the mailbox to look at how people responded, we've already had 261 responses for Bible study. These are people saying, I want to study Scripture. That's in 1 day. There is every indication that this is going to go gangbusters. I mean, it's just going to go remarkably well. But it won't go remarkably well if there's just a handful of people working on it. So I want to ask a few personal favors. Number one, take a look at your calendar. The meetings downtown at the convention center start on February 27. They're going to run through the month of March. I'm going to encourage you, look at your calendar now and just get rid of the other appointments. I know some of them are important, but they will wait. Trust me, this opportunity doesn't come along all the time. You don't see the Spirit moving like this all the time. Clear the calendar and make the time to come. I think you're going to see things that you may have never seen in your experience with the church for decades and decades. Something big is building and something big is going to happen. I need your help. We all need to be there. Something special happens when all of God's people get on the same page and do this together. So look now, clear your calendar. You might have a dentist appointment or a root canal. I guess nobody books a root canal that far in advance, but even if you had a root canal in March, get it done ahead of time. Clear your calendar. Please, I'm asking you, get down to the convention center. And we need all hands on deck. Ask God, what would you have me do? Who would you have me speak to? Who would you have me invite? Who would you have me interact with? Because we're not just going to put on a meeting. Out of the end of this, I want everybody to have had the experience of watching someone they love come to Christ. I want everybody to have the experience of leading somebody to Christ, of being there when they pray that prayer and ask Jesus into their hearts. I want that for you, and it's going to happen if we all get together and do this. The other thing that I want to ask is not only clear your calendar, sign up for something. There's going to be requests. We need people to stand at the door and welcome the world to come and hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. We need people to help me and the pastors with our visitation and our registration and keeping track of things. There's all sorts of things, and you're going to hear requests for help. Please, please don't pass those by. Just sign up. Just come on down and help out. And you might say, I've never done anything like this. I'm scared of the public. Hey, me too. I'm terrified of public speaking, but I'm going to show up and I'll do some preaching and I'll meet the public. Please come and join me. The other thing is, I know the conference isn't going to be as blunt as me, so I'm going to be blunt. Get out your checkbook and give something for evangelism. Just help support it. I have never in my life seen an evangelistic meeting run into the red. I've never seen a church or a conference go broke over it, because God blesses when we're doing the thing that God asks us to do. So get out a checkbook, and it's only between you and God what you might put on that check, but make it out for evangelism, give it to the conference, and help support this. There is no cost that's too high to win a soul to Christ. I look at it this way. Somebody at some point made a sacrificial gift so that I could hear the three angels' messages and come into this church. I think about that every time I pull out my checkbook on Sabbath morning and I'm about to give. Somebody made a gift to make it possible for me. And that's true for you too. Or your parents or your grandparents. Somebody sacrificed to make it possible. And I think our generation ought to pay that forward for this next generation of believers that Jesus is calling into His remnant family. So take out a checkbook, pray about it. Lord, what would you have me do? That's between you and God. I don't have an amount to tell you. You know what a sacrificial gift is like. Sometimes I recommend people look at the things that they love to do. Let's say, oh, you love the NFL package on cable, and look at the cost of that and estimate it out over the next 4 or 5 months and say, you know what, I'm going to get that to the work and let somebody hear about Jesus. Or find something else. You pray about it and spend time with God. Ask Him what He would have you do. I guarantee He will speak. The other thing that I'd encourage you is that at the end of March, we're just beginning. We've just met these people. So get your church ready. These people are going to be hungry for more. And I promise you, they're going to have friends and family who are curious about the decisions that they've made. And your church is going to want to be busy. In fact, in the final week or 10 days of the campaign in the convention center, I'm going to actually present what your church is doing to the entire city, to the entire public, and have them sign up for what's going on in your church. So if you plan that now, we'll highlight it right there at the convention center. If you don't plan it, there's nothing to highlight, and I can't send the people over. The last thing I want to mention is beg God. Pray now. Somebody on your street, somebody in your family is now ready to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's such a simple prayer. Just ask the Lord, Lord, who is it? Who is it that's ready to hear? Open my eyes, open my ears, open my heart, open my mind. Let me see my neighborhood and my family and my coworkers exactly the way that you see them. There's no pressure. You don't have to go overboard or pressure people. But God will open your eyes and show you somebody who's ready. So of all those things, I'm begging you, join us. Amazing things happen when all of God's people get on one page and do this thing together. I've seen it in every city, and right now, at this moment, there is every promise that it's going to happen in Minneapolis, but only if we do it together.